Good morning, everyone. I'm heading over to the clinic. I wanted to share some thoughts that I had because thinking back to how we built a lot of the systems that have worked so well today in our clinic and in clinics all across the country and really across the world. We have a clinic in Iceland that's doing it, several in Canada, China, so all over the place. But things that I did is I just recognized a model that was working really, really well internationally, and that was CrossFit. So even though I've never really been a CrossFit person myself, I've jumped in a couple of CrossFit workouts with a buddy of mine, Dr. Ed LaCara, when I was visiting one time down in Texas and then somewhere else at one point. But that's literally my exposure to it personally, but I followed it. I understand what they're about. I get that they've put this whole culture together. They've taken people that exercise and switch them into a different mindset of making it more competitive, like a sport, instead of just going to the gym and working out. And then they've taken people that don't exercise at all and hated it and never felt like it was fun, and they've made it fun for them. And they've had lots of people transform their lives. And yeah, there's a lot of injuries that result from some of the techniques involved as far as taking Olympic lifting and forcing people to do it for reps and for time and that sort of thing. So I understand that differs from location to location. So anyway, I'm not saying this to necessarily talk about the specifics of whether CrossFit is good or bad or biomechanically sound or the best way to exercise. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm saying from a business model, from a culture, from a engaging their audience model, something that they did really, really well is just that. And so I paid attention to it early on, and that was one of the things that got me motivated and inspired to build out certain pieces inside of our chiropractic clinic, which has then developed into what we've built out inside of Move Now, and systems we put together that we've vetted, tried, refined, and then put trainings together and taught other chiropractors all over the country and all over the world. So what are some of those systems? Some of those systems are things to engage the audience, put a ranking system in place, put a progressive process where they can see that they're ascending through something and that there's a goal in sight, and a community of other people that are doing the same thing so they can look to for camaraderie, and it's built that culture within our clinic. So let's just talk about a couple of the pieces that I feel are crucial that we developed as a result of looking at the mechanism of how CrossFit has been so successful with creating their own culture. So here's a couple of those things. One is we have a belt system of functional movement, okay? And it's really turned into a belt system of just overall everything that a patient does in their care. It lines up with this thing called the 12-week transformation, which is a 12-week process that when our patients start a corrective program in our clinic, they can see that there is an end in sight, a perceived end in sight. We're very clear that 12 weeks is not like 12 weeks and you're done. It's that 12 weeks is the first step to creating these habits and making this transformation in your life. But they have a achievable place they want to get to, an achievable goal. On the CrossFit end, they have various different types of exercises that are, like different workouts that have different names. They have like Murph and honestly, I can't even name a whole bunch of them. I just know that there's a bunch. And they have competition, okay? So they'll have local competition, they'll have national competition. And so that's what someone's training for, is kind of this end in sight. Well, it's not the end for them. It's not like they're going to stop and not keep competing, but that's their next benchmark. So our next benchmark is defined in our belt system of functional movement. So a patient goes through a 12-week process of learning various things that are going to impact their overall health. They came in for a spine problem, for an ache, for a pain in most cases, and we help them see that we're transforming this into a vision of changing their entire outlook on life, their health. So from physical, emotional, diet-wise, just different patterns that they follow, on a daily basis, weekly basis, ways they interact with their friends and family. Like, these are all pieces that we try to address by taking them through this 12-week transformation. So what is a 12-week transformation? It's an online membership site. That's the vehicle that we use, right? But that's just the mechanics of it. The idea is getting them thinking differently, so when they come in for their visits, they know that they're learning things on their own. They can engage at various degrees depending on how motivated they are. They have a journal that follows along so that they can write in the journal. Some do it a little bit, some do it a lot. And they know that there's a place they're progressing through this belt system of functional movement, meaning they start off learning more basic protocols, basic exercises. Things are introduced to them at a very foundational level, and we compare it to martial arts, where a black belt has to still really hone in on their white belt skills. Those foundational white belt skills are the things that build a strong foundation for future things that they're going to do. So we take this and make this very well known for our patients. We talked about in the white belt protocols, they're learning things like how to properly breathe, because breathing patterns and breathing timing is going to be used in multiple things moving forward. That's going to be something that they need to know when they brace to bend over and pick up their child or do gardening. And how are they going to bend over? They're going to hip hinge. So breathing, hip hinge, and core engagement, core activation. Those are all things that we teach. Breathing, hip hinge, core. That's very basic. That's in the white belt system. There's various other things in the white belt system that someone needs to learn. And then once they've done that and they've cleared all the dysfunctions that we have identified with them, now they test to then ascend up to a yellow belt, and so on until blue belt. And so we set goals with them when they start their 12-week transformation based on their engagement, their level of exercise proficiency, how many dysfunctions we've flagged. We set up goals to say in 12 weeks, here's where we think you can get if you follow this level of audience participation. We think you can get to like a low blue belt, which is the third belt. Here's what that means. Here's why you're going to bring your journal in with you, and you're going to log into the online portal, and you're going to engage with this stuff. And here's what it's going to mean for you. Here's all the benefits for you. So essentially that was a piece that I felt was influenced by the CrossFit idea of why so many people jumped on board with it, is they could see a level of progression. They could see there's certain exercises or exercise routines that were very challenging for them. There was a certain time that they were trying to beat, and then they could see that they were improving. Okay, so that was a key thing. Now, as far as creating a culture is they can look around and see other people who are going through the same thing that they're doing. When you just go to a gym and work out, you're kind of solo, you're on your own. You might have some friends that you chat with when you go in, but for the most part, working out is very much an individual, not a team sport. CrossFit changed that in the sense that they make it, it's done in group environment, group classes, group workouts. It's a similar thing that we've put together in our practice in our clinic inside of Move Now is when someone comes in and does their exercises, it's not just boring exercises that they're doing. They're engaging with other patients who are in the exercise area at the same time. They know where that person was, if let's say the person in question is a little more advanced. They know where they were themselves learning these basic protocols. They can see it in these other patients next to them. They can relate to them. They can give them a heads up of, oh yeah, that was something that I was doing 3 weeks ago. And, it's awesome. It gets easier. Once you learn this, it's conversation we see within our patients, motivating, inspiring each other, which has shown that we have successfully created a culture. So now people come in for their visits, almost like if they don't show up, they're not going to see these other patients that they know come in at similar times. It's almost like an accountability thing. And that's part of the reason why people go work out in these classes, is because they know if Mary and Joe is not there, John and Nancy are going to notice that Mary and Joe weren't there, and it's going to be more of a, hey, what happened? You know, how come you weren't here? How come you didn't show up? All of us are doing this together. We're in this together. We're in this together. Oh man, I just said that, didn't I? Okay, so anyway, those are some of the key takeaways that I just wanted to share of what makes this so impactful for a patient and actually creates a culture in your clinic. That was a phrase that I used to hear a long time ago, create a culture. And they'd say, you know, Apple is so successful because they've created a culture, and Google has done that with their workers, and Amazon, I guess to an extent, maybe. I don't know if Amazon is the best example of that. But some of these huge companies have successfully created a culture, and I didn't really know how to do that in chiropractic, or maybe I had an idea, but I felt like it was too much work. Well, those are things that we've tried and tested. I think that we have it pretty well worked out. It's done, and it's being duplicated by all these other chiropractors who are part of Move Now, which is a program that we built just sharing these protocols of how we do this in our practice. And it's more than just protocols. You know, it's systems, it's communication, language, it's resources. It's like all the pieces that you need to make this a complete package to actually accomplish creating a culture. So if you're not familiar with it, we have a 30-minute pre-recorded demo. You can check it out and you can see how it's laid out and how all these pieces fit the requirements necessary to successfully create a culture. If you go to demo.movenowyou.com, you can watch it. It's a 30-minute pre-recorded demo. You can see me just jump through our whole portal talking about how it works. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. But hopefully this was a helpful comparison, and whether you love or hate CrossFit, that doesn't matter. It's that they've done something very successfully, and I borrowed their ideas and then put that into a chiropractic setting, and it works, and patients love it, and we do it every day. And I'll be at the clinic in about 5 minutes doing it again today. So I also still practice. So I'm not speaking off of some kind of hypothesis or something that is unproven. We do it every day in practice. So anyway, thanks for jumping on and joining me. Hope you all have a great day in practice. If you have any questions, reach out. If you've never watched the demo, watch the demo, comment, shoot me a message, let me know if we can help you in some way, or if you have any questions, I'll be available to get in contact with you and take a peek at what you're doing in your practice and give you my feedback of how or if this system could work for you. All right, with that said, over and out.